We still have 1 minute. That's Hurley time.
You're early, Irene.
North Hurley time. North Hurley.
North Hurley. Mira, even this says still Hurley. Okay, Mr. Sepulveda, it's 5 o'clock.
Okay, I'd like to call the special meeting of Cobre Board of Education into session. It is 5 o'clock. Please, let the minutes show that, myself, Mr. Cordova, Mr. Holguin, Mr. Gomez, I don't see Guadiana is on.
Yes.
Oh, there's good. Okay, I see you now. Okay. All board members are present. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico that is a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Approval of agenda items. Entertain a motion.
Gomez, so move.
Motion by Mr. Gomez, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Guadiana. Any questions or corrections? Call for the vote. Mr. Holguin?
Yes.
Mr. Guadiana?
Yes.
Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Cordova?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carries. Go to administration, Mr. Mendoza. You're muted, sir.
Mr. President, members of the board, we have one item under administration, and this is I'll just read it. It's the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act 221. This is what we refer to as CARISA. Along with it, combined together is the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund 2, which is the ESER application. This is one application that's going to be available effective July 1, and we have the proposed budget that we'll have Joyce go over it. And at this time, we'll have Joyce come forward. Joyce?
If I could quickly ask a question, are these two grants or just one?
It's just one grant. It's
Okay.
called CARISA ESSER 2. It's under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, but it's part 2 of the CARES Act that we already have this year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. President, members of the board.
All of these, they gave me all of this.
Mr. Arambula, could you please mute whoever has their microphone unmuted?
Yes, I just did.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, so we did give you a copy of the budget breakdown for this grant that we're going to be looking at. As Mr. Mendoza said, this is effective July 1 through September 30th, 2023. And again, it is the part 2 of the CARES Act that we currently have in place. That's what we're using to prepare our schools for return to in-person learning. So you do have the breakdown of the budget. Are there any questions?
I have a few. One is we had a finance committee meeting and data was provided there. And I don't know if everybody got the salary information that is supposed to come along with this. I appreciate, I did get it on Friday, no, Thursday or Friday from Terry, but I don't know if any of the other board members got it.
Are you talking, I'm not sure, like the different positions? So if you look over on the right side, you have the breakdown. So for example, on the staffing positions, we do have an at-risk coordinator, counselors, an attendance success initiative coach, food service, custodial, and an EA. Those are the staffing positions on here.
Yes, and what Terry provided me at my request was the salaries for those positions to kind of cross-reference because it is, if there's new positions, the board is supposed to review the grant, see the possible fiscal impact to it, particularly as it relates to hiring new positions. So not that that was the intention of the meeting, the grant was brought up during the meeting, and that's when I asked for that information. Otherwise, we would be here seeing this again for the first time. And the changes that happened from the draft that was given to us, and it was explained that it was a draft.
Yes, correct. This is probably like the fourth revision that we've made to this grant. And I know that we'll have more as we go along and see different needs throughout our district.
So this isn't a final approval, or this is a final approval?
No, this is the final approval. I mean, the final amount that we are getting, which is the $1,490,062.17. That is what we're getting. But Mr. Guadiana, as we get this money, and if there's a need, say for example, let me find a place.
He's done it.
So if you look at school facility repairs and improvements, we have $50,000 in there. Let's say that a school, something happens and we need to put a little bit more money in there, then what we have to do is look at where we need to shift to be able to make that happen so that we can get the support where we need it. So this is what we're going to be approving, but what I'm saying is within each of the categories, if we have a need, it's an ongoing working document as we need to make revisions. Mr. Guadiana, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. And I appreciate that. The dilemma is that this, I guess that was the third draft, and the Finance Committee had never seen it. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. The Finance Committee is supposed to take part in this. And there was even a reference that me being there did not make it a Finance Committee meeting, which there was a long discussion about that. But we are creating positions. It's the board's responsibility to go over grants that do result in creating positions to ensure that we have an assurance that these positions will not go on to any other funds other than what's being specified here. And that the term will be for the positions will be announced with the term of the condition of the finance being available from these specific grants.
Correct.
So in a haphazard way, at least we're there. And there was a significant change from the version that was provided. And I actually liked the changes that were made. At first, it was all almost administrative. Now that there's been adjustments now to structure and to contingencies, I think it's much better than what it was when it was first presented.
We appreciate that, Mr. Guadiana. And that's why we continue to look at it, because as we continue to look at it as well, we realized too that, yeah, we needed to put money here, we needed to put money there. So where are we going to pull money from so that we can put it in all the different areas that we need it? So that's why we have to continually be looking at it so that we can make it work for our district and our students.
And I think had the Finance Committee there were observations I made there that I would have made early on that could have been more productive as well. And this is where I'm saying that this should be an ongoing review with board participation. And even the comment that this wasn't a finance meeting or budget meeting was very offensive. So it is our responsibility, and I appreciate the changes that occurred from it. But it now delineates some of the positions to different line items. And
Correct, and that was in review of the wording. We felt that some of the positions fit better under a different line item, so we did make those adjustments accordingly.
And so with that, the one line item that comes to mind right now is the providing mental health support services. And with that, there was originally $286,000 proposed. And that's where the at-risk counselor, I guess, and a few others were there, but now it's almost double that. How?
Let me get my original one. Hold on, give me a second.
Okay.
So it is actually not almost double that. It is half that. Because the original one, I believe, is well, actually, which date do you have at the top of the one that you received? Was it 3/6?
Okay, no, you're right. You're right. It did go to half. So that that alleviates a great deal. The one that I was looking at is 3/6, and that I guess is the original one. And then just noticing now that the 325. So it cuts down that, and that makes me a lot more comfortable. But what is the end result in terms? Do you have the figures for the positions that this is going to cost then? The revised version?
Actually, the amounts don't really change as far as the positions, because what we did is until we know who's going to be in that position, we don't know how much they're going to be making.
No,
because
I understand that.
It depends on where they come in.
Yeah, and
so.
But here, we don't even know how many counselors, and yet the other one was able to say, yeah, there's 2 counselors that you guys are anticipating, and I understand the changing dynamic that needs to happen, but we need to be able to have as much information so that we don't fall off the cliff, or we don't create more administrative positions than needed. And the salaries are important.
Diana, I don't believe we have administrative positions in this at all. I mean, we've got counselors, nurses, custodians, the attendant success coach, the at-risk coordinator, and the food service.
And along that, and well, to me, I don't know if these people are going to be assigned to schools. That's not there.
All of these, yes, sir. All of these positions will be assigned.
This is some,
this is what
and
really helps.
and the people that are going to be on it, and how many, I don't think we can unless we know when we hire them where they come in, like Joe has said, where they come in at. That's where we know then how many we can hire.
When they put together the numbers, there's kind of an expectation of where they're going to go and where the need is going to be. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Otherwise, if you're saying it's arbitrary and it's just kind of hoping that things are, I think they put more thought into that. I think they put where they're going to be, and they take into account the current enrollment, thinking that there's not going to be a dramatic shift.
Well, taking into account current enrollment, taking into account current staffing as well for each of the different schools.
So just for going forward, if you can provide the information in terms of what's anticipated as to their assignment, knowing it's not in cement, I really greatly would appreciate that. So
I didn't quite catch that. Can you please say it again?
sure, I said, knowing that any information you give me to their placement is not cast in stone, I would still appreciate that information so I get abreast of where it is these resources are going to. And
Yes,
that
sir.
gives me makes it a much more informed decision on my part and
Okay.
board members that are interested. Okay, so in that sense, as a finance committee, I'm much happier, like I said, with the changes that have been made, and would suggest to the board that this merits consideration and passage.
Thank you.
With that said, Mr. President, and members of the board, the administration recommends for approval as presented, and we will be able to file this tomorrow, and then wait to hear within the next week or so on approval or not as presented. So I want to thank the board for being patient on this and having a special meeting. And the administration, Mr. President, recommends that you approve as presented.
You heard the recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
I move.
Mr. Guardiana moves. Okay.
Mr. Williana made the motion. Second?
Gomez, second.
Second by Mr. Gomez. Any other comments?
I would
Call for
want
the
to
vote.
add that the board, I would like to add that the board finance committee be involved on a much more continual basis on issues having to do with fiscal impact
Okay.
and creation of positions.
I'm in a question.
Any other comments? Call for the vote. Mr. Holguin.
Yes.
Mr. Williana.
Yes.
Mr. Gomez.
Yes.
Mr. Cordova.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carries. Any other things? That was all for the special
I
meeting.
would also,
Thank you, everybody.
I have one more comment if I can, Mr. President. I would have a
As long as it's in
Request
reference
that-
to this,
In my opinion.
It is in reference to this toy. I would have a request that when we make a presentation like this for approval, it isn't just for the board's approval, it is also for public awareness. And if we get down and make a presentation saying that this is how we're going to use this money and how it's going to benefit, one of the discussions that we had in that finance committee meeting was maintenance. And there was a discussion about, whether filters were included in that, and also how long was it anticipated that kids would be using computers, and how that would work. These are unanswered questions that we don't provide the information to for teachers. That if they see we're getting this much money and we're making an approval here, how much have we told them that what it is we're trying to do with the money? And I think that's the transparency that we should be working towards. And I think that'll give a great deal more confidence on our performance, as well as our commitment to inform the public of what's going on.
well, that's something that we can, but we need to first see if we can get the money, and that's why this application is for. And once we get the money, then that can be broken down and put out for the public.
I think
Okay.
the public has the right to know what we're applying for and what it is we're going to do. We differ. We differ in opinions.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So move, Frank Cordova.
Motion by Mr. Cordova, second. We don't need a second, I'm sorry. Thank you, everybody.
Oops.